Law, software and commodities are all areas that our monkeys are going to be advising us on today. Hopefully by the end of the show we'll all have an idea on how to make ourselves that little bit richer.
For the first time ever, you can now short in an ISA, which is fantastic for me. You can do that now with the Deutsche Bank ETF, Exchange Traded Fund. You can buy it if the FTSE 100 goes down, this goes up in value. And for me, for an ISA, that's fantastic. So for me, the Deutsche Bank New Exchange Traded Fund short FTSE looks like it could be a winner and a great hedge against an ISA fall.
Now it's time to find out what's getting the monkeys in the studio excited. Right, Paul, as per usual, you'll be kicking us off this week. What have you got for us?
Talking about investing in law today, which is actually something that's quite difficult. Lawyers have a lot of money and therefore they don't really need our capital. But the company I'm talking about today is a company called Murgatroyd, which does patent law, basically.
So this is a law firm that concentrates on patents. What differentiates this from other law firms?
Well, the simple thing is this company's listed, unlike most major law companies. What's interesting about them is that they have a very steady business. Even in an economic downturn, there tends to be a reduction in the amount of patents registered, but it's a good, solid growth business. This company is the leading European company for patent law. They're expanding across Europe, and that makes them a good investment. They're on a PE of 11 at the moment.
Stephen, law as a sector, is it something that interests you?
The only slight downside to this is, as Paul's pointed out, that the type of law it invests is patent law, and it's just that sort of law that doesn't do so well in this sort of economic climate.
Well, but I would imagine people come up with ideas even in a recession, you know. I mean, I would have thought, in fact, my concern is exactly the opposite, that actually you might do quite well in a recession because people don't stop having ideas and they don't start trying to do stuff with it. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Right, David, you're up next, and you're going to be talking a little bit about software, which actually could link into Paul's suggestion. Is that right?
The one sector where Britain has got a lot of quite strong small caps in very small niche markets, very specialised niche markets, is software. And one company's been constantly on my radar. I haven't bought them yet. I've been looking at buying them. It's a company called K3 Business Technology, and they provide specialist software support to the retail sector and the manufacturing sector. And their shares are ridiculously valued. You know, I mean, even at the recent 120p, you know, single-digit PEs, you know, double-digit EPS growth, very decent yield, very strong cash flow. Very strong cash on the balance sheet. Really well-run company in a very, very specialised niche. But their shares will probably still go down, and I missed a chance to buy them when they're under 100p, and I'm sort of waiting for the opportunity to come again.
Now, Paul, this is something that you're familiar with, that you've got a little bit of experience here.
I do know retail IT quite well, having spent 9-10 years in it, and I can tell you now it's the first thing retailers cut when spending money in a downturn. There's nothing that beats cutting IT costs, and they won't do any large projects. So I don't know the value equation to this, but that would be one of my concerns. The software sector in general, I do think it's overrated, unfortunately. Everyone always looks at software and thinks, hey, growth is fantastic, and it's quite easy to get early sales. Unfortunately, solutions are often copyable and competition is high.
Okay, Stephen, you're up last this week. What's your investment story? I've heard it's got something to do with falling commodity prices.
Well, I think we've had political pressure added to the economic pressure on the energy companies this week. We've seen a petition of Labour MPs, 70 Labour MPs, calling on the government to impose a windfall tax on the energy companies. Now, I suspect Brown and Darling won't do it for numerous reasons, but they need the cash, and I suspect they see the sector as a bit of a cash cow, and in terms of these emissions permits that are coming up, they were once going to be free. I imagine they're now going to cost several £1 million, so there's a way of extracting funds from this industry. I think in economic terms as well, we've seen in the past week or so a commodities rally. Bloomberg report this as the biggest one-week rally since 1975, believe it or not. So combined with that, it looks like it's probably overdone. Energy's had a very good 12 months. I imagine the next 12 months are going to be a lot rockier, and I think I'd look to reduce exposure to that sector a little.
Okay, Stephen, there's possibly a suggestion of jumping ship here. David, you're always one to jump ship whenever there's an opportunity to. Is this the time to get out?
Yeah, absolutely. I met a fund manager today who, one of the funds they run is an agricultural commodities. And I was astonished to see him saying, you know, and he's very kind of bullish on commodities and energy and all that kind of stuff. And he was saying, you know, he doesn't think over the next few years oil will be back above $100. You know, he thinks it's going to trade into 100, 120 over the next few months and then decide decisively move back down. And he was saying, oh, I'm quite optimistic. And I thought, oh, yeah, well, that's quite a long way down from where it is. So I would suggest it's time for you to dust off those ETF securities shorts on oil and start possibly buying some at the moment.
Paul, shorting oil, is this something that interests you, something you're doing?
Well, I'd love to short oil. I've actually struggled to find suitable investments for shorting oil. The covered warrants available at the moment for shorting oil aren't particularly good, which is a shame, because I really love to find ways of shorting oil. Maybe we'll talk about that another time.
Well, guys, shorting oil sounds like the thing to do. So if you do find one, please let us know. In the meantime, I'm going to have to say goodbye, and we'll see you all next week. So, what can I say? Short oil if the opportunity arises. Remember to check out FourWM.co.uk for more from the monkeys, and we'll be back next week.